We've got Carla here from NewTek. Hi Carla, thank you for coming on.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No problem at all. Now I know a bit about NewTek and your product ranges, but our viewers may not know everything about them. So tell us for a start a little bit about NewTek.
Sure. Well, NewTek's been around for about 25 years, and what we do right now is we make multi-camera video production systems, which is sort of a fancy way for saying a television studio in a box.
Right.
It really is as easy as if you have cameras, you can plug them into a TriCaster, which is our main product line, and an internet connection on the other end, and you have everything that you need to make a video program that looks like broadcast style television. So our focus is looking at what's involved in a live production scenario, and all of that equipment, and taking as much of that equipment and packing it into one integrated system, so that what we're able to do as the world is looking to consume more video content in more places, typically what that means for video producers is, well, to produce more content, I probably have to buy more equipment, I need to hire more staff, and our focus is actually on reducing the equipment by putting more of the capabilities in the box and reducing the amount of crew that you need. You still need people to operate the TriCaster, but you're not going to need necessarily as many crew as you did before.
Now, I know the TriCaster range fairly well myself. I've used it myself. It is an amazing range. So when you see something like a TriCaster range, and we'll go through that very shortly, what's the process of developing something like a TriCaster for you guys?
Yeah, so we try and do three things primarily. The first one is we have a heritage of bringing products to market at a pretty aggressive pace. So if anybody were to go back and look at how many TriCaster models there have been since we started, you'd probably count, if you try to count them, you definitely get up past the 10 fingers that you've got. And sometimes people say when we advance those products, how come there are so many models? And the reason is because we continue to put so many things in those products that we also have to upgrade the performance of the systems. So we want to innovate at a very fast pace, and our focus is putting as much performance as possible in the hands of the end user at price points that really democratize some traditional broadcast production technology. So we want to make this capability, not only do we want to put more things into a TriCaster, but we also want to make it available to as many people. And that is the core focus when we set out on any development effort. I mean, we have another product line called 3Play, which is for live sports production, and we take the same philosophy. It's an integrated live production solution, this one for sports, and we have the same approach. Put as much in there as we possibly can to give the performance to the end user, but do it at a price point that is more affordable than what's out there.
Now we're going to talk about the new TriCaster range in a second. The TriCaster range itself has a standard set of features across the board that people may not know what they are. If you can give us an overview of what the standard set of features are across the board.
Sure. So I mentioned, creating a live show is as easy as taking cameras and an internet connection, and then everything else is in the TriCaster. So what are some of those things? We obviously have, our hardware has a blend of connections. So, you can work with SDI or composite or components, all of these different connections. If you're in a very small space and you don't have a nice studio like this, you can use a very small green screen or blue screen, and we have virtual sets right within the system. Not only do we develop our own, but we also partner with companies like Able Broadcast, who also provide some free content, but you can directly access Able Broadcast sets from right within the TriCaster. So that's a very powerful capability right there. Obviously, we have a production switcher, and once you have multiple cameras, you need to be able to switch from one to the next. So we have what is sort of the traditional production switcher. But we also take a lot of the gear that normally, when I talked about looking at a live production, you want DDRs for media playback. Well, those are integrated in the system. You usually want more DDRs for recording your programs, and you may even want more DDRs to record the individual channels of all the camera feeds. All of that functionality built into the TriCaster. If you're doing something on a green screen, you may need a keyer, a separate keyer. That's built into the TriCaster. We have color correction tools built into a TriCaster. We have many post-production tools so that if you take the footage that you've recorded and you want to edit it later, package it up for DVD or other video on demand, those tools are in there as well. And so it's a whole range of motion graphics, titling, all the tools that you would typically need to make a broadcast style television show are right within the system.
Amazing. Right, this is IBC. There is a number of material around IBC indicating that there's some new announcements from you guys this year. Tell us about the new range of TriCasters.
Right. Well, so we often hear that from customers that TriCaster is really the most complete multi-camera production system out there, and that's a tagline that we use sometimes. And what we're doing here is at the show, if you've seen any of our marketing, we're saying that now the TriCaster line has superpowers.
Right.
And what those superpowers are, we've actually taken a lot of the capability in our flagship product, the TriCaster 8000, and brought that down to 3 new models.
Right.
So we've enhanced the 8000 with new features, but we've introduced 3 new models. The 2 mid-range models are the new ones are the TriCaster 460 and the TriCaster 860, and that's the next generation. We had the 455 and 855, and then underneath that we've introduced a brand new model, the TriCaster 410.
Right.
And so what the TriCaster 410 is, it's a new entry-level price point for professionals. Very simply, it's a 2-rack mountable unit, so it's very portable. You can put it in a flight pack and carry it with you. It's got SDI, so it's a digital I/O, and it's one of the pieces of news for all of the TriCasters now is they are full MixFX production systems.
Right.
So the TriCaster 410, which is the entry level, has 4 banks of MixFX, and what MixFX are, it's basically like having offline switchers within the system.
Right.
So they duplicate my switcher, but now I can actually work on a very complex sequence while I'm doing a live show. I may have executed, I'm executing some sequences, but I've got something coming up, some other transitions, and I can set that up in a row of MixFX, and I can even set up another one because I've got 4 in the 410. And then when I want to take that live, I just switch to that MixFX bank, and now that's running live.
Wow.
That kind of capability, 4 banks of MixFX on the market, usually runs somewhere between 35,000 and 40,000 euros. The TriCaster 410 starts at under 10,000 euros.
Wow.
So again, going back to what I was saying about putting as much performance at price points that make it more affordable, we're delivering on that piece of our strategy. And that's the case with all of the systems. We've brought new capabilities across the entire line. So when we talked about the core things across all TriCasters, as I said, all of the systems now have MixFX banks. They all have new virtual set capabilities. So realistic camera movements. Before, we allowed people to zoom in with a camera. It looked a little bit digital.
Sure.
Now we have very smooth tracking, and you can actually incorporate jib moves, pans, zooms. You can actually move around a virtual environment. So instead of just switching from cameras and zooming in, you can actually make it look like there's an operator behind the camera, and there isn't.
And so this is all done virtually. The cameras physically.
The cameras are mounted. I mean, here you've got robotic cameras. We now support robotic cameras. One thing about that is that in addition to just supporting them, we also provide a layout for angles of those robotic cameras. So, I mean, it's one thing to have a robotic camera and switch to it and have to get to your angle, but you can actually set up, angles and see them all. So during your live show, you can say, you know what, I want to go to angle C or D and snap right to that.
Wow.
So that just makes it a lot easier for the end user. We've introduced something that's really quite compelling called holographic live sets.
Right.
Now, it's not holographic in the true sense of holographic images, but it is manipulating a 3D image. And what that is you can take any panoramic image now, even with your smartphone, walk out, and I mean, we could take a panoramic of this studio and drop it into a TriCaster and actually on a green screen replicate this in just a matter of minutes. And we've got full layers of video and composites. So even if you had this desk, I could drop myself behind the desk in a virtual environment. And it really takes the top off any limitations for what I want my broadcasting environment to be in. It could be a realistic studio, or it could be a streetscape, or any image that you want. And so you can still have all that camera movement with zooms. You can take a full 360 panorama if you want, and have up to 8 different camera sources feeding into that. So it's really, really quite compelling, and something that's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these are new. They're new announcements here for IBC. Are they available to order now?
They are. So we announced the new product line about a week ago
Yep.
on September 4th, and everything started shipping on the 12th, so the day right before the show.
Fantastic. And if people are coming to IBC over the next, we've got about another day and a half to go.
Sure.
Whereabouts will they find you here?
We're in Hall 7,
Yep.
stand K11.
Brilliant.
And obviously, newtek.com has a lot of product information on there, some videos as well explaining the new products. And we'd love to have people stop by the booth, give them a demo, and
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Carter, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for
coming on.
having me.
They are amazing products, I have to say. Go and have a look at their website, newtek.com, if you're unable to get here to IBC, and have a look at the whole new range of TriCasters. You'll be shocked at the amount of stuff they can do in one box. And that's newtek.com is where you need to go.